Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. Transformers 1 stars Chris Hemsworth. The untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as Swarm enemies, but once were friends bonded like brothers who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. I enjoyed Transformers Rise of the Beast that came out last year. It was a decent film. I enjoyed Bumblebee a lot more. I was curious to see where they were going to go. And next, when they talked about an origin story about Optimus Prime and Megatron on Cybertron, and it was that CGI somewhat animation. So I was like, okay, interesting. You have me intrigued. Who's the cast? And they get Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Brian Henry, I think that's how you say his name, Michael Key. Not really the casting choice I would have gone for. And when I seen the trailers, I wasn't really on board anymore. I was still kind of looking forward to it, but I wasn't really on the train. I was kind of like, thinking about hopping on the train, but I wasn't sure if this was the destination I was going to. So going in, I had very low expectation, and I came out enjoying it more than I thought I was going to. I knew going in that, it was going to be very, very aimed towards kids. Like it had that kiddish type of feel. And it does have some of those serious moments in the film. The film does have those repetitiveness jokes, like for example with Bumblebee, with Michael Key's character. He would constantly repeat like a same joke throughout the film, and it was like, okay, all right, it was kind of funny at first, but now it's not funny. But there was kind of some chuckles throughout the film, and maybe one or two actual laughs when it came to the jokes. But mainly, I was going for the action. How is the action? It's pretty good. It is pretty. This movie is a lot of fun when it comes to its action. You have the main action side of the film, as Optimus Prime and Megatron bump heads over how to basically rebuild Cybertron after figuring out a situation where someone is saying who they are not seem like who they are, is the best way I could put it. I've scrambled my words there. And I'm not really going to dive that much into it. I've only seen the first trailer, and I don't really remember much about the second trailer, so I don't remember how much they dived into about the story of this film. And that's kind of the one thing about the trailers, is that I didn't really know that much or remember that much from them to get even excited about this film. So in my head, it was going to be more of a clear side of like, okay, Optimus Prime and Megatron, they somehow don't become brothers anymore and they are enemies. That was like the big understanding when I watched the trailers. So I'm going to not really talk much about this somewhat secret villain, even though you know that it's a villain from a mile away, and it's something that they kind of already did in a previous Transformers movie. Speaking of how they bump heads over the situation, how they kind of become enemies, did feel somewhat forced and kind of rushed. There wasn't really enough build to it. Next, when it came to the end, that was very abrupt. The ending kind of was like, okay, well, we need these two to really, really hate each other, so we're going to do this one thing. And it's like, I feel like there's other decisions that you could have done before making that decision, but it's like, well, we got to have them hate each other. So the movie does have its good moments, and like, the animation is very good. It's nothing like, spectacular or anything, but it's good animation. It's good. It's nice and beautiful to look at and watch. But besides that, there isn't really anything new brought to the table. It's kind of just like, a rehash of something that we already know. It's just a story of some form of how that happened, but they don't really dive that much into Cybertron as itself. I mean, like is this like subplot with like this leadership type of item. There's always like an item in these Transformers movies. They don't really dive that much into how it functions or how this world functions. It just kind of says like, okay, this thing does that, and it's missing, and yeah, so you guys are kind of fucked. When it comes to expanding the universe, there isn't really much there, but it is a movie that you would have a fun time at the theaters, and bringing your kids to watch. I'm gonna give Transformers 1 a C+. I had a good time, had a couple laughs, more like chuckles than laughs. The action really does hold this film up. Chris Hemsworth was fine as Optimus Prime. He just didn't really sound like Optimus Prime. He just sounded like Chris Hemsworth. That was kind of my biggest issue with the voice casting. They do somewhat make him sound like Optimus Prime towards the end, but it's like, okay, well, that's too late. That was like the last 2 seconds of the film. Yeah, it's all right. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye, guys.